Hello everyone, this is Outstar and you're watching the video about possible locations in Cyberpunk 2077. Have you ever had the feeling when, while playing a video game, you got so immersed in its world you just didn't want to come back? You wanted to be able to explore it for real, have a place exactly like that somewhere in the outside world and just be there, listen to the sounds around you and contemplate the atmosphere. Well, I had that. I wanted to drink a coffee in the Fringe Cafe from The Longest Journey, do a dance-off in Asylum Club in Bloodlines, and shake my Draenei butt for money on Stormwind's market. Don't judge, okay? Cyberpunk 2077 has all the predispositions to cause similar feelings and help us immerse ourselves in the futuristic, dystopian city we wanted to live in since the premiere of the first Blade Runner movie. With the help of Cyberpunk 2020 book and a few other sources, here's what we know about the locations that will, or might, appear in the game. Most of the in-game map will probably consist of Night City, located in California. By 2020 it had 5 million inhabitants, most of whom lived in the suburbs. A beautiful skyscraper-filled center stands in contrast to what happens outside, where years of ignorant, corrupted governance left suburban areas in ruin, with junk piles, empty shopping malls, and gangs taking over the streets. Slums and luxurious apartments, high-tech nightclubs and sleazy brothels, Night City has everything, and that means way more than you can handle. It was established in 1994 by Richard Knight, who was massively buying terrains in between Los Angeles and San Francisco and proposed building a new, safe, clean city with a focus on employers in various industries. He offered special privileges to big corporations to secure the economic base and instant influx of new citizens, who would relocate to the city for work. He used his own advanced building materials and techniques based on years of research to build an ultimately perfect place to live. His plan was good. Too good. He pushed away local businesses and refused bribes in order to achieve his goal. Unfortunately, that meant stepping on the toe of local gang leaders, which ultimately led to his assassination from the hands of an unknown culprit in his own apartment. After Richard Knight died, gang bosses took over Project Night City and the corrupted leadership began. By selling contracts to their shady pals, enhancing the drug market and inviting all sorts of scumbags to the city, clean and modern project of Richard Knight became a walled terror zone by 2005. The rule lasted for a few chaotic years, and finally in 2009, corporations, for which the city was built in the first place, said enough. They hired squadrons of solos, especially trained assassins, to deal with the gang leaders. Heavily armored paramilitary groups funded by Corporation Arasaka managed to end the so-called mob wars in 2011, and soon after, corporations took over the city, placing their puppets in its government. Nowadays, Night City still has a crime and safety issues, but it's growing economically and financially. City was ultimately saved by corporations, but because of that, it owes them. Business leaders can do whatever the hell they want with it. There are 2 hospitals in the center of Night City and 7 more beyond that. In case you're involved in a shady business and get hurt, tell your friends to drop you at Crisis Medical Center, quick intervention facility where no one asks you any unnecessary questions. Private healthcare establishments deal mostly with cyberware implants and plastic surgeries, but you can also find few body banks here and there. If you're in need of an organ or a body part, you're in a good place. ID, wallet with a donor card and death certificate is enough to loot whatever you want from someone else's corpse. And if it wasn't so easy to fake all of them, you can always go to Medicross Preservation, a legal body bank where they don't even care for papers. Have I mentioned that looting corpses is a prevalent problem in the Night City? Now you know why. As for the public transportations, you have plenty of options. There are bus lines, NCART trains, which is an abbreviation to Night City Area Rapid Transit. There's also the Night City Metro. Train lines would be your safest bet, as corporations establish them to transport citizens safely in between their suburban homes and inner-city workplaces, through the most dangerous places in between. If you think about a weekend trip to LA or San Francisco, think twice. The state highway is not what it used to be, and it takes 6 and 4 hours to drive to each respectively, through cracks and traps set by the road gangs. It's safer to take a plane from Night City Airport. Oh, and if you want to go to space, yeah, sure, why not? Your closest bet is Mojave Orbital Space Facility. Why would you want to go to space, you ask? Because Las Vegas is so 1990 and the richest inhabitants of the New World gamble in Crystal Palace. The coolest orbital station you can imagine. Casinos, hotels, amusement parks, and all that in space. You better save your money right now. But let's go back to the city and its biggest problems. It's still dangerous enough to make almost every citizen carry weaponry with them on the streets, sometimes pretty heavy one too. You won't be able to enter some places with a gun, or at least your own gun. There's a bar called Jessa James Non-Kosher Deli, where instead of food, they give you a pistol and hold a competition every night on who will shoot more enemies in 5 minutes. You may ask, shouldn't police get involved in this? Well, maybe, but they're in desperate need of people, equipment, and better leadership. Take your lazy donut-eating American policemen from any movie and additionally make them corrupted, accepting bribes from local gangs and not wanting to get in trouble. There are a few exceptions of the rule though, Psycho Squad being one of them, but they are simply too crazy to accept any money from anyone. The most problematic districts are Marina, Harbor and Lake Park, but none of them come even close to the problems the southern city have. Back in the days, it was a suburban area covered in cheap row houses for corporative employees. Nowadays, houses are in ruin, occasionally taking another bullet to their walls from mob fights in the streets. This area is now called the Combat Zone, the place where police doesn't reach, and it will most likely appear in the game. Don't imagine it though as a desolated area where the only thing you can hear are gunshots. Combat Zone has its nightclubs, brothels, and although there's no streetlight and official access to electricity or net, local renegade netrunners can provide you with both, as long of course as you reach them alive and pay a good price. There are a few of extremely interesting non-canon locations that got popularized by the internet community of Cyberpunk. Knowing CD Projekt Red and the vast amount of research they do for their games, they might as well use unofficial sources for their inspiration. If that happens, we might see one of the most uncanny and interesting locations of the Night City, the Gaslamp District. Located right next to the Combat Zone and used by city planners as a foothold upon it, this district looks like it's taken from a different era, 1920s most presumably, and because of the discounts police officers get in the area, it's considered one of the safest zones of the whole Night City. But for now, let's go and have a drink. Here's a short list of places to visit. If you'd like to smoke some green with your corporative friends and maybe hire a solo to do some dirty work for you, Atlantis is a place to go. You're more of a dancer, you say? Rainbow Nights is constantly crowded with people like you, with unnamed bands playing there every night. Apparently some bigger stars did make an appearance there too, but always hiding behind a nickname. If you joined that Elvis gang in Fallout New Vegas, Cafe Chrome with its 1950s design and jukeboxes is a good place for you. It's a favorite bar of rockers, character class that combines musical charisma with other useful skills. You're more of a no-life hacker type of a guy. Head to the Short Circuit, bar for netrunners and technicians. In 2020, one of the most famous netrunners, Lifeware, had his shop in the back of this bar, buying and selling software to use in the net. You could also commission him to make you a special software for your own needs. If you need something more hardcore, head over to Totten Dance. Its owner opened the dance club on the top floor of the skyscraper and called it the Dance of Death in German, without knowing what would happen with the club's reputation soon after. Not only you can meet shady figures and gang members partying there, if a nightly death count is lower than 20, the party is considered boring. Alright, let's say you want to meet some gang members, but for diplomatic and peaceful conversation. Guess what, I have a place for you as well, the Slummer. If conversation doesn't work, it also has an arena where you can agree on something in a different way. Owner accepts betting and sometimes rents the arena for other purposes. When the night ends, head over to the Night Owl, a relatively safe place and well-guarded one too, one of the few bars opened for the whole night. When everything else is closed, you can make sure you'll meet people you're searching for in there. That's all about possible locations in Cyberpunk 2077. I'm eagerly waiting for E3's presentation of Cyberpunk right now, and my next video will most probably talk about it. You also voted for me to do a video about Cyberpsychosis and Psycho Squad, so I will make sure to prepare it. Please let me know in the comments what other topics from Cyberpunk universe you'd like me to talk about. You can watch me almost every day at twitch.tv/Outstar and subscribe here for more gaming videos. See you later, and don't get lost in the city.